So today we'll be looking at why Dark Elves are actually broken in Warhammer Total War 2. And yeah, we're gonna dive into that. We're gonna check out why you can make so much money and why and how you do it. And what's the process, of course. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back with another video with Linksy. Hope you are doing well. This is a new series, so I hope you like it. I'm going to be deep diving into each faction and finding the most accurate mathematically possible way, fastest as well, to get the most money possible with the least hassle, and I'll do the research for you guys. And today, of course, we're starting with the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves have a quite unique mechanic in game where they function based on slaves. This, of course, because Malekith got really iffy and piffy with the other High Elves, kind of just realized he doesn't know how to build a city, how to run an economy, so he decided to go and raid himself some slaves. How do slaves function in the Dark Elf mechanic? Or simply put, the more slaves you have, the higher your income. However, you have a big problem. Well, two big problems. Firstly, your public order is going to go down to a maximum of -10. This is a bit of a problem as you end up with issues such as slaves revolting and you end up losing slaves. But apart from that, you also get slave decline. And slave decline can be quite a bit of an issue. As you can see on the screen right now, there are a number of statistics which are shown. This is in the slave mechanic. You can request extra slave for specific regions. You can stop requesting, or can you just accept? But as you can see across the board, there are percentage decline per turn, a public order decline per turn according to number of slaves. But best of all, you can also see how much money you're making. And we're going to be looking at this throughout our little experiments. So we have two issues that we should deal with first when, we're capturing the slaves, but they're running away. So let's stop capturing the slaves for a second and think, how can we deal with this? So the first thing that you need is a master. And they have this sycophantic schemer, I believe it's pronounced sycophantic schemer, where you get a +2 public order bonus in the region you're at, and you reduce the slave decline -10%. This is going to be the baseline. This is going to what you really need to kind of plug the holes so you get every other thing in, because then you need research, you need slave decline research, which is called Life of Dread. It does also give other bonuses, but we're going to focus on the slave decline rate currently, which is -15% on it. You also need Carrot Car. They have a special unique building at tier 4, and trust me, it is difficult to get it to tier 4, especially with the Ricard update where growth in settlements has been an issue. So keeping that in mind, we are going to assume this is going to be mid to late game, that you get it turn 80 to turn 100, especially if you have to conquer it. Ideally, you do Confederate Carrot Car, but sometimes you have to go beat them up a little bit. And then, of course, there is Malekith, Motivation Through Fear. Lots of bonuses, but the first two that we're going to look at is Slave Decline Rate -10% and Slave Public Order Penalty -15%. Additionally to this, you also get a public order penalty reduction and slave decline reduction through the slave pens and the slave market. If I believe the slave market is -50% slave decline rate, and it also reduces public order issues by an additional percentage. So you're going to be able to nullify both effects of slaves leaving and slaves rebelling. So you're essentially going to quote unquote keep your slaves happy. But we all know what the Dark Elves do to their slaves. It's a lot of whips, it's a lot of pointy things, and a lot of really, really sexually depraved stuff. So we need to actually wonder what goes on through a Dark Elfish mind. But long story short, now we figured out a way. Yeah, we figured out a way how to nullify the public order debuff. You get through slaves and make sure every single slave you capture, every single precious slave, will not die or leave. Now, you've gained 50,000 slaves, 100,000, 3 million slaves. What are you going to be doing with them? How are you going to gain them actually in the first place? Well, there aren't that many buffs that help you capture slaves, but every general gets 25% dreaded slaver bonus that you should really level up almost every single time for every lord, lady, and of course Black Arc. You can also boost this through Black Arcs and their range of influence by an additional 10% with their specific building in the Black Arcs build buildings. If you don't know that, do kind of go back to the basics of the basics, and you'll be able to go there. And there is also continuous slave supply, which is a tier 1 tech. Dark Elves have number of tiers, and it increases slave capture by 15%. So essentially, you can increase your capture rate by 50%. Some lords do allow more. For example, Crone Halibron as one of the best capturing slaves, but there are no public order global bonuses that I could find. I could be wrong on this. I did spend quite a lot of time looking. So if you guys think that I missed something, please let me know in the comments below. Because, of course, this is done from my own research, looking at a number of campaigns. A campaign actually sent in by Andrew Tobias helped quite a bit. So shout out to Andrew over there. Now, this is the question. Okay, this is the question you've all been asking for. You've all been waiting. Linksy, how do we make the actual money? You've spoken about public order. You've spoken about not letting the slave escape. You've spoken about capturing the slaves. Well, think of it this way. The way you make money is per 100 slaves. I believe you're per 100 slaves, you get a number of money. Let's say you get 5 gold for 100 slaves. But we can change that. Things can be altered. Special buildings called the slave market and slave pens, who would have known, allow you to increase that significantly. Slave pens by up to 10 gold per 100 slaves, and slave market 15 gold per 100 slaves. But then there are special buildings such as the Tor Iveres Warden's Tower, which allows you to get 50 gold per 100 slaves. And here's the kicker. This number can be manipulated through the power of incredible capitalism that the Dark Elves are. You can stack upon stack upon stack different bonuses. For example, looking at the research, there's Choose or Die, Tempered in Blood, Income from Settlement Buildings. I've actually don't know why I wrote Income from Settlement Building. That thing has a name. We'll see it. You should be seeing it right now. There's Daylight Denied and Blood and Dead. These give you a number of buffs and incomes. Boost, for example, Choose or Die, 3% income increase from slaves. Tempered in Blood, 10% income from slave pens increase. Of course, Daylight Denied, 10% income from slaves increase. Blood and Death increase 15% from settlement buildings, and these all stack up on top of each other. If you have, for example, Tolier Veres, you have the Warden's Tower, you have a slave market and slave pens, you essentially have given yourself the 5 different buffs, and together they stack up to be per 100 slaves you have at least 75 gold income. But here's the kicker, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Here is the kicker. You can stack this up. You can stack this up, and we will get to that in a second, through assassins, and of course through a number of other things that you can put on assassins. But before we go in there, we should also give an honorable mention to the Broken Lands, which have the Slave Trader's Palace, which increased 10% income from slaves in the region of the Broken Lands, which is Karot Kar, and the Restored Port of Nagaroth in the island of Albion, where Rakart spawns, which gives 15 gold per 100 slaves, and then you can of course add the slave pen and a slave market. 2 slave pens and a slave market in the region, which does make it kind of profitable, but again, you want to have a 4 settlement region, because the more settlements you have, the more slaves you can stick in there. 3 settlements in one region, you can put around 12,000. Good number, right? Well, good number. Decent number. But, and here's the sexy part, if you have 4 settlements in a region, you can put in 17,500. And guess what? Tor Iveres has 4 settlements. You have, of course, Iveres, and you have 3 more settlements in there. So, apart from the 75 basic gold per 100 slaves, you're adding that up, of course, by a large number of times. So you have 17,500 slaves, which is quite a bit of money if you make the maths. Now, imagine on that, you have 100 assassins, which each boost slave income by 10%. Imagine that each assassin has a high elf slave that adds an additional 10% local region income from all buildings. An organ merchant, because you're trading, of course. You're making so many buildings, so many items, you're trading them. 5% trading increase. And an overseer, which gives an additional 10% income from all buildings. You've essentially, simply put, made an incredible, infinite money The more assassins you have there, the more money you make. And at the start, it doesn't seem like much, but it adds on. This all stacks on. Compound interest is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Everything compounds on top of each other and adds up together. Let's say currently on this campaign I showed you, there are around 68 assassins. I think 67, 68 assassins in this region. That multiplied by 10%, that is quite a lot of numbers, right? You have 660% increase, of course, of income. However, this multiplies on top of each other because it's a percentage, it's compound interest, multiplies with all the other buffs, multiplies with everything, and you end up with something like 2,700 increased per 100 slaves. And I do believe the numbers here show something like 1,300 gold from every 100 slaves that you have. Essentially speaking, you are working slaves to the bone, but letting them live long enough so that you can enjoy the money. And of course, they can never leave. Above all of this, of course, we do need to remember that Malekith does have the motivation through fear, which over all the money we're making, he adds an additional 20% buff. Now, I know this is a lot of numbers, but simply put, as you can see here, a lot of numbers added together give you around 500,000 income from Torir Virus around turn 200, which seems possible thanks to this campaign, which was submitted by Andrew for, of course, roasting. I've covered that video. You should go check it out. Now, is this all the Dark Elves offer? No, because above all of this, above and beyond all of this, they have 3 specific things which are absolutely fantastic for their lords. And these are, of course, the name of power. You can give them a name of power that benefits your faction. And out of these, there are 3 that I could find. There could be more because I did not do that much research into this. But there's Emerald's Eye, Leviathan's Rage, and Broken Lash. Emerald's Eye gives you 5% increase to all industry if not your hero is active, meaning you can actually stack this and leave your heroes in the back. Leviathan's Rage increases a 5% increase on ports. So every single port that you have, you can infinitely stack the amount of money you're making. This, keep in mind, is above and beyond of your slaves. And finally, Broken Lash, a 5% increase from all of your settlements. Dark Elves tend to be quite numerous, and they tend to expand very aggressively. The more settlements you have, the more money you'll be making. But in this case, it's exponentially so. Whereas other races have an linear increase, in your case, it's exponential increase. And this is just absolutely crazy. Keep in mind that you can hire lords at level 10 due to, of course, owning 10 provinces and having 10 capitals. Build a special building which allows you to recruit lords at level 10 or higher. Level 10 is where you can have the name of power enabled, and then you can just recruit a lord from every single place that you can, give them a name of power, disband them, and repeat. Ideally, you do so in a way that you put them in the sea so they don't rebel. But guess what happens if they rebel and decide to go against you? You can kill them and gain more slaves, and hence you're still benefiting. Ladies and gentlemen, the Dark Elves are broken. Of course, not nearly as broken as the High Elves, which we'll be covering after this video. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if I've missed something. This was something that took me a while to get together because it's a lot of research. There is so much, but this specific thing, you can, theoretically speaking, get so much money. It is absolutely crazy. You'll be swimming in money and swimming in slaves in this case. Yeah, hope you're having a lovely day. Take care. If you haven't subscribed yet, this is the time for you to subscribe. You subscribe to the channel grows exponentially. And, it's like if I could enable the buffs that can be enabled to the slave economy of the Dark Elves to my YouTube channel, I would. But I can't, of course, because YouTube is not broken. Or is it? Bye-bye, take care, and have a lovely day. Bye!